Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Angry Cast and the return of Minecraft. And we are in 1.14 update, the Village and Pillage update, and we are building the Sawmill. Now, as the story goes, and we will back it up and give you a little bit of the preface on it, the homestead was destroyed in a act of terrorism. Someone blew it up, someone or something, and I was rescued from the wreckage by a magical dolphin that brought me to this village somewhere on another shore. And for the time being, I've been living with the villagers and trying to find out what happened and, where these people who destroyed my home are. And they have my cat, of course. I need to find Lag. And the villagers have been nice enough to house me and feed me and provide me shelter. But at a cost to them, they require me to help them out. They want me to help figure out what happened to all of their artisans and their craftsmen and their elders, and something happened to them. So we've been telling this little story as we played the game, and it's mainly just for you, as if you're going to go through and start your own little series, and come up with some ideas that you want to have for how you want to play your game and tell your story. And ours is of course the story of the homestead and Lag and everything else. And as it is right now, we wanted to also build a city. We didn't get the chance to do that before, so we're going to build one. And I've kind of taken this from the perspective of, we could just build a lot of buildings and call it a day, or we can build the buildings that sort of tell our story. And the part of our story, what we're at, is that we have to start building buildings that will help us get to other parts, to help us evolve the town or the village. That means that we need to, if we're going to build a city, we need to have materials. We need to be able to build with wood. We can mine all of the stone that we want to, but without properly, growing and harvesting the lumber to, build the structures and build our tools, we're not going to get anywhere. So we've decided to build a sawmill. And directly to the right of the sawmill will be our tree farm. Now, I, of course, have already shown you how to automate an automatic chicken egg farm, and we're going to use it. We've applied the same sort of mechanics to the tree farm. We have trees over on the other side that underneath the surface there are tracks running back and forth with a minecart and a hopper, and that minecart and hopper, once you go and harvest all the tree from the trunk, the leaves will decay, and things like saplings and sticks and apples will slowly spawn and fall to the ground. And as that minecart goes underground, it will then collect all of the saplings and sticks and apples. So we've automated that process, even though we can't automate the tree harvesting process yet. Now, there is a way to do it, and that involves a lot of effort with obsidian and other redstone mechanics that we haven't quite mastered yet, and that's why we haven't done that part of it yet. We have to still go to the nether to do that, because we need quartz to make some of the repeaters and comparators and stuff like that. So we're going to do things, we're starting off slow. We're going slow. We're starting off with just a basic manual, a semi-automatic tree farm. And to further our narrative, we're going to build a sawmill that sort of acts as a way to harvest all that lumber. Now, of course, in regular Minecraft, we don't have, or let's just say vanilla Minecraft, we don't have a sawmill block like we do. We have a furnace, or we have a grindstone or a stone cutter. We don't have something that will do the sawmill. So we're this is aesthetics basically, and I'm not going to get too crazy into how we build this sawmill, because this is my world, this is my build. This is not about what you're going to do. You need to build your own sawmill. You need to build your own world. You don't need me to tell you how to build things. I'm not going to give you anything that you don't already know. And in its 10-year existence, Minecraft has so many ways of building that we don't really need to go over. Oh, how do I build a house? How do I build a structure? What's some good tips? That's not for me to decide. I don't want to infringe on your creative process, so we're not going to go over some tips or tricks for building. I'm just going to build what I want to build to achieve the goal. And that's kind of where I want to get to with why I'm doing all this ahead of time and recording after the audio after, is because I really don't plan on getting too involved in discussing the builds. I don't have the time to plan out a large build where I can take time to go through the steps like I used to do with the Joe Gaming pack, or even the old Homestead pack. I don't really have that sort of luxury anymore. So I'm using this video as the one and done on building. With this particular time, I'm going to build the sawmill, and I'm also going to go build a blacksmith house right outside the mine, because I want to have a place for me to cart up all of the materials out of the mine for smelting of ores and creating of the different stones, the slabs, the stairs, the different types of, cracked bricks, stone bricks, all that stuff. So we're going to eventually show that automation once we get to the Nether. But I'm building that structure alongside this, but I'm not going to show that one because I didn't have time to put all that on camera. So basically the sawmill is going to be a one and done, but it serves more of a vehicle for me to discuss things than it is for me to show you how I build stuff. That being said, this build was kind of intense, because you can build a basic structure. And remember when the villages first came out, there was few basic buildings for like a library, for a blacksmith, for a church and whatnot. We've sort of taken this to a different level, and I'm making this a rather large structure, and I'm doing some different things with it that I've picked up along the way that I thought were kind of nice design elements. But the basic sawmill structure itself, I've kind of lifted from, and I don't know why I did that, but the basic sawmill structure I've lifted from Skyrim. There's always a conflict in your brain playing Minecraft. Is, do I build a modern day city? Do I build a traditional city? Do I build a medieval city? What time frame do these structures and these stories live in? And as much as I want to sort of go through some kind of industrial age of a sawmill, like the early turn of the 20th century, or late 19th century, I felt that this was a timeless building, that this doesn't need to exist in any one time frame. So I sort of just went with Skyrim because it's a sawmill that I know. It's a sawmill that I've seen 1,000 times playing the game, and I think I can build it pretty much from memory. Now, it's not going to look exactly like a sawmill, but there is some elements that are kind of the same. And I did not really give a lot of design thought to this, and I may go back and make some changes later on to give it some more detail. I have a whole city to build, and I need to get there. And we are 10 episodes into this new series, and with my limited amount of time, it's going to be, get things done, unfortunately. And that's, like I said, that's kind of why I want to, talk about it, is I don't want to spend a lot of time doing the build. It's more about telling the story. It's more about exploring all of 1.14. And of course, by the time all of this gets done, we're going to be probably into 1.15, which is going to introduce some things like bees, which we'll have to figure out a way to incorporate those into the story as well. And, we can do that. That's not a problem. But I don't want to spend too much time going back and forth about, I'm going to build this, and this is what's going to look like, and like that. No, that's your decision. This is my world. This is what I want to look at. This is what I want to tell the story like. You can tell your own story. You need to tell your own story. You don't need someone like me telling you how to do things in your world. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to sort of simply spark creativity and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. If you want to kind of go and do your own thing, here's things that I have tried. It's not meant to be an instruction guide. It's meant to be sort of an outline of what you can or cannot do. But we do have an entire city, and I've already designated that this half of the side where the river is going to be more of the blue-collar area of this world. We're going to have farms here. We're going to have the artisans of I'm sorry, not the artisans, but like the more mechanicals, the craftsmen of the lumber mill and the stone cutters, and the perhaps maybe the more farms on this side, maybe some basic. There's going to be a fishing village. In fact, I think I'm going to convert the old village into a fishing village with a. We're going to have a lighthouse at some point. But and then on the other side of the river, where there is the break, you can in the background, I'm going to make that more of the more affluent section. That's going to be where our town's administrative folk will be living. We're going to have a little bit different of a style. There's going to be more concrete and stone and then wood and cobblestone incorporated it for those builds, because that's going to represent some people who have a little bit more money, a little bit more wealth and social status, and have better access to these things. So that will be the where I'm going to reserve for that side of the river, those types of builds. Now the biggest thing is, again with the sawmill, this is purely for aesthetics and not for any kind of a functional purpose. We don't have that capability. I had thought about how I was going to build the sawmill and how I was going to build the saw feature of the sawmill, and I knew that that wasn't going to be something that I could do with any sort of easy regularity of design skills and aesthetics. So just the blockiness of Minecraft doesn't help me. But I do want to incorporate other wood, and I don't have the dark oak saplings, but I do know that the trader, the nomad, does carry some, and I can get those with my emerald. So I can now set up the dark oak wood, because I want to incorporate that to the build, to the roofs. I want to have some of that darker wood. I want to get away from just using oak wood for stuff, for this types of builds. But again, like I said, trying to build a saw, like a circular saw for the sawmill, was not going to work very well. So I opted for a simple I sort of took the easy way out, lazy way out, and just built like a single iron fence, like a single blade that runs up and down. And I was going to actually try to figure a way to make that go back and forth using pistons, but it became more effort than I was able to accomplish at the time. So maybe that's something we can go back and figure out later. But for now, we're going to just build it the basic way of just making it look like it's actually working. And of course, that means we need to have a water wheel. Now, I did have an idea in how I was going to transport wood, and how I was going to actually make the sawmill be functional. Well, not actual functional, but make it look like it was functional. And that was by using trap doors to build a trough that would run from where the water comes out of the mountain and into the top of the water wheel. The unfortunate part with that is that because the water flows the way it does in Minecraft, I was going to have to put in some other blocks that wouldn't be part of this build in order to make it look like it's not flowing, hitting and going through. It makes actually hitting and would be a force of turning that wheel. So I just opted to use the current below it to turn the wheel, which would then power the saw itself. So we kind of deep six that idea, and you're going to find those things. You're going to find that you struggle with the fact that Minecraft is a game where physics doesn't really matter. Of course, when you punch out a block of wood, the entire tree still stands, but when you hit sand, it would fall anything above it. That's kind of our that's the trade-offs we make in this game. Is that I want to make something that looks almost like it could exist in real life, but I know for a fact that some of these things don't work the way they should in real life, and I'm going to sort of try to figure out a way to make those two worlds sort of agree with each other. So I built the sawmill, the water wheel, sort of like a traditional wheel, and that actually in and of itself gave me a great opportunity, because the way that they have redone the wood textures with having the stripped logs and the stripped oak logs, that kind of gives me a way of sort of making the wheel stand out a little bit more than it would if I just built it with straight up wood. And you can build a Minecraft circle all you want, but not being able to sort of discern what is like a wood pattern, how would a wood wheel be constructed over what, for a sawmill, how would that look? But giving the opportunity to strip the wood to give it sort of a different texture and directional texture. Because it used to be when you just put up a plank, you'd have it go facing one way, and it would always face that way no matter which way you stacked it. And with logs, you can go left to right or up and down. But I didn't want to use those types of logs. I wanted to sort of give it a different look and feel of what you would actually construct. You wouldn't construct a water wheel out of a stripped log or an oak log. You would use it out of wood. And so I've sort of went along with the, as you can see, the different directional, way that stripped wood can go. That sort of makes it look like it's been cobbled together from different pieces of planks. And now we need to get further into getting the roof on this thing, because I'm doing a non-traditional roof. I've sort of taken some ideas from other YouTubers, some that I follow on YouTube. But, I don't know that I'm specifically sold on any one idea. Like I said, I might go back and change things later on. I don't know. For now, it's just I want to get it done because I have things that I need to build in this game that may or may not be caught on camera, that may just be done in any case afterwards. And, you know, I don't want you to think that I'm just not showing these things. It's just I don't have the need to go back and show everybody how I build stuff. I mean, if you really, really want to see me build things, let me know in the comments, and maybe we'll talk about how we can just do another video where I'm doing that. You know, anytime that I have to really show anything on camera that I'm going to build, I probably will do is sort of a you know, record it playing and then do the voiceover later. But for now, I think we're going to call this build done. We've got all the parts to it, and let's go back and see how it looks. Is it any good? Is it any bad? But just remember, while I am doing these builds to satisfy the villagers' needs, do you remember the only thing you have to satisfy is your own needs to build and be creative in Minecraft. And I hope that you find these videos enjoyable and continue to come back and watch us play. And I think we're going to call this build, yeah, I think we're going to call it done. It looks pretty decent, I guess, from my standpoint. Kind of big, but I think it fits our narrative. I think it will work for us, and I think we can move on to the next task from the villagers. Again, I'm going to have a blacksmith station set up outside the mine. We'll take a tour through that one of these later videos, and we will go from there. 'Cause once I get those things set up, we'll be ready to go. We'll be ready to continue on with our quest to find out who burned down the homestead and who stole my cat. So thank you for watching, and have a good night.